The Frick Collection in its glorious Gilded Age home reopens after 5 years of construction, bursting with shining opulence and fine art.
Welcome to the Frick Collection, and I'm Axel Ruger, the really new Anna Maria and Stephen Callan director of the Frick Collection here. And this is a glorious day for the museum because we are opening after 5 years of closure to the public. It is such an honor and a pleasure to now being entrusted with leading this institution into its next chapter, as we have completed the renovation, completed the expansion, and are now ready to welcome the public back in. We have, aside from showing the collection, of course, again, also invited Vladimir Kanevsky, who is an artist here in New York, originally from Ukraine, to create these flowers. They're made of porcelain and metal.
You would never know it to look at them.
They're, of course, incredibly lifelike. And the idea behind it was that Miss Frick, when the museum opened to the public in 1935, had the museum full of flowers in the various rooms, sometimes also in relation to the paintings. And now, for conservation reasons, we cannot really have real flowers in the spaces. So we have created this installation which spans across the different rooms with these flowers that are, if you like, in dialogue also with the works and give you a sense of what the museum was like when it first opened its doors.
They'll give you a sense, but not a sense.
It doesn't give you a scent. You can try to smell them. Unfortunately, they do not emit any smell. People do, of course, because they are so lifelike that you want to touch them and smell them, which you cannot really do because we're in a museum. Do not touch them.
What about this room?
Well, this is the West Gallery, the Grand Picture Gallery. Frick did not build a ballroom as everyone else had in his own time in the mansion. He wanted a picture gallery. So this is, and it was the grandest space in New York City at the time. And it is, of course, still one of the greatest spaces in the city with, this incredible collection on display. And so, this is, it doesn't get any better than this, really.
There's a Rembrandt?
There are a couple of Rembrandts. There are three, in fact, here in the room. Well, I mean, one of the most sensational Rembrandts is this self-portrait, painted relatively late in his life. And he shows himself as a painter in somewhat historical costume. He has been, greatly successful in his own day. And here now he is also unashamedly showing the traces of aging and, the latter part of his career and life. Because, of course, what people have always dreamt about coming in and been frustrated by, that was a velvet rope across the grand staircase that you were not allowed to go up, and now you can. To the second floor, where, of course, for the first time, we have made the private living quarters of the Fricks available to the public. So you can experience also the smaller spaces in which they lived when they were not in the big grand spaces down here. And for example, the breakfast room, which has the sort of late 19th century pictures in them, this is exactly the hang that the Fricks had when they had up their private breakfasts.
After a detour to see gardens with magnificent magnolias, we stepped inside again.
Well, Diana, the goddess of the hunt, is here in this space where you actually look out onto Central Park, and she looks out into our garden in this gallery that used to be an open colonnade. And we're now showing here also our porcelain collection, because the Frick, beside the old master paintings and sculpture, also has decorative arts in various types, and so we have this gorgeous porcelain collection here.
Like that, the detail there, I mean, yes,
yeah.
Everything.
No, it is, and it gives you sort of, a kind of sort of more rounded idea of what, the different aspects of European art and European culture sort of, where that this collection spans.
The Frick Collection has been a living home for 90 years since it opened to the public, and through this project we've revitalized it. People will recognize their favorite rooms and paintings and other objects, but I think they'll also feel something new and fresh is here for them to experience as well. So we're so pleased to welcome the public back this spring for a very special cultural experience. For 90 years, the public has been aware of this staircase, but it's been blocked by a silk rope, and that has made them wonder, who's up there? Why can't I go up? And today, we're finally pulling the rope back and welcoming New Yorkers up to what were the private living quarters of the Frick. So they will see masterpieces in new spaces to them, smaller scale. It's a different experience that teaches you a little more about life in the house.
Can you take me? Am I
Let's go up.
Am I
Let's
allowed
go
now?
up. Yes, you are. You are welcomed up.
This is new for the public.
This is new for the public, and it gives an additional view of life in the house, but also just a greater understanding of one of New York City's terrific culture treasures.
Is this guy important to the whole
scheme
of things?
I think he is kind of important. Of
Yes.
course, you know, Henry Clay Frick, the great industrialist from Pittsburgh, up here in the portrait above the fireplace in his library. And he is, of course, the one who built this building, the mansion, first as a private home, but already with an eye to it becoming a museum. He wanted his collection ultimately to be accessible to the public, to be a source of joy, inspiration, if you like, solace for some, and has become, of course, this oasis also in New York City, and that's why it is so much loved and beloved, and it is a collection of just stellar quality.
Yes, so it's Gilded Age and it's opulence, but it also tells us a lot about New York City, about the times, and about where we're going in the future.
Absolutely.
1935 is when the museum opened. 90 years later, another ribbon cutting. Elected officials remember some neighbors hated the construction noise and some initial renovation plans.
It was challenging, and they were upset. Their input was what perhaps made even a better project.
Well, actually, it's better than I hoped for. They really did an amazing job.
Happy for this return of a landmark as lush as one can possibly get. On the Upper East Side, Dave Carlin, CBS News, New York.